Hey makeup friends! Earlier this month I did an entire declutter series, and if you caught any of those videos then you know as I was going through my items I was setting some aside into what I was calling makeup purgatory. In other words, these were items that I just either couldn't remember what I thought about them or I just hadn't used them in a very long time, so I wanted to test them out some more and make a final determination as to whether or not I wanted to keep them. I have now done that, so I'm going to share that update with you today. Let's get into it. As always, I want to start off by welcoming you back to my channel, or if you are new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara, and on my channel, we like to mix beauty, brains, and the occasional F-bomb. In terms of the makeup that I'm wearing, on my eyes, I have the Michaela and Glamlight palette, and on my lips, I have one of the Luxe lip oils from ColourPop in the shade Cosmic Clique. Earrings, I believe, are from Shein, and fun fact, my children have no idea what these things are. That doesn't hurt the soul at all. All right, let's get into the video. So I have all of the items from my makeup purgatory in this basket here, and there's quite a bit. The majority of them are highlighters and foundations, although there are some primers and blushes in here as well. All right, we'll start off with the items that I'm going to keep, and then I'll share with you what it is that I'm passing on. So, kind of surprising myself, but I'm going to keep both of these primers here. These are both like that jelly consistency. So on the one hand, we have from NYX the Bear With Me Hydrating Jelly Primer, and then this one here is from Illamasqua, and this is the Hydra Veil. Now the reason that I'm going to keep these, frankly, there's a little bit of like personal vendetta in there, in that I just want to finish them and have that satisfaction of doing so. But I also do like how my skin feels once they are applied. More so with the Illamasqua than with the NYX. This one tends to be just a little bit stickier than this one, but not as bad as, say, the Milk Hydro Grip. So it's workable for me. The Milk one, it's a little intense, but this one I can live with. And really, there's not that much product in them, so I'm really just planning on focusing on these. I do have a primer already in my project pan, but once that one is complete, I can see myself pulling one of these and just dedicating myself to that. If only because they take up a lot of space, but having gone through the declutter, there is space to fill, so I'm going to keep these. Not my favorite, but workable. Moving on to foundations then, I am going to keep this powder foundation here from Too Faced. This is the Cocoa Powder Foundation, and I have it in Golden Light. There she is there. I just actually really like the convenience of powder foundations, and I've never really had an issue with them looking particularly cakey or dry on my skin. This is no exception. So I just really like how quickly I can apply my makeup when I'm using powder. It's not a product that I tend to reach for a lot during the summer, simply because I'm always worried that if I sweat or get like really hot and all that, that it's just gonna look a hot mess. But in the fall, they're just so easy and fast, so I want to have this one on hand. I do have 4 other foundations that I'm going to be keeping, and I fully acknowledge that I already have quite a substantial foundation collection, so I really don't need to keep these 4, but be that as it may, I'm going to keep them. I do enjoy having a wide selection of foundations so that I can do comparisons and things of that sort. So there is a bit of an element to it beyond just personal use as far as I'm concerned. So that's my justification. Okay, first up, I'm going to keep this one here from ABH. This is the Luminous Foundation in 210. I don't really have like ringing endorsements of any of these products. If I like was jumping up and down excited about any of them, they wouldn't have ever gotten into makeup purgatory to begin with. So my reviews in this video are all going to be a little like, yeah, it's good, it's okay. It's not amazing, it's okay. So just apply that to all of the products I'm about to show you. It's good, it's not amazing, but again, it's nice to have it for comparison when talking about luminous kind of foundations, and it is something that I do enjoy wearing, although it's not my favorite. Same can be said for this one here. This one is from Guerlain, and this is the Natural Glow 16-Hour Wear Foundation, which I have in the shade 02W. This one does tend to be a little bit on the thicker side as far as what I enjoy in a foundation, but I can mix it in with, say, a serum or my Charlotte Tilbury, whatever the hell that thing is called, Hollywood Flawless Filter. If I mix that in here, it just helps to thin out that consistency a bit. But even without thinning it out, it does apply nicely. It's just one of those things that I have to be aware of and not use like 2 full pumps. 1 pump can get it done, and then I just buff it all out so that it's just a very thin application. At any rate, it does look nice on the skin. It has a nice natural looking finish. So even though it's called a glow foundation, I don't find it to be particularly dewy, and I prefer a more natural look. So this one achieves that for me. I'm also going to be keeping this one here from Bite. This is the Changemaker Supercharged Micellar Foundation in the shade L25. And I do like this one. Again, it's not my favorite, but I do find that it has a nice natural finish to it. It's not as thick as, say, the Guerlain, but it is thicker than like a skin tint. So on days when I want more coverage than what my skin tints, which is what I tend to prefer, when I want a bit more coverage than that, this is one that I can reach for. And then finally, I'm going to keep this stick foundation here from Merit. This is actually like a complexion stick, so it's designed to be used as a concealer or a foundation, but I really don't like it as a concealer. But as a foundation, it does produce like a really nice light amount of coverage. It does blend in very nicely, and the shade match is actually really great for me as well. This is the shade Linen. And there's really not a ton of product in here. So I feel like this is one that I could actually completely finish. So I'm going to keep it, if only because it's fairly new and I kind of feel bad getting rid of it, but there it is for what that's worth. Okay, then we have some highlighters, a finishing powder, and a blush. So finishing powder, this one here is from NYX. This is the High Glass Finishing Powder in Light. And part of my concern with it was that in the past it has produced like a super radiant look on my skin, and it's been a little intense. But when I've been playing around with it now, I'm using the Dior brush that I have. I do not remember what it's called, and it's very dirty, but regardless, I use that one. I just pick up a little bit of this product and then really spend time to buff it into the skin, and it's beautiful. If I use a light amount of product, it produces just sort of like an enhanced look on my skin. So I don't want to say it's a natural finish, but it's not like, bang, here I don't look like a Cullen. So light hand, and it's beautiful. That's the learning curve I had to get onto. Now for highlighters, I do have one liquid highlighter. This one here is from Rare Beauty. This is the Liquid Luminizer in Mesmerize. And the reason why I want to keep this, first of all, I do think it's very beautiful. I apply it before I put my powder on, and the powder I find just helps to tamp it down a little bit, and then using a finishing powder just blurs out the edges of where the liquid highlighter is so that it doesn't look like a harsh contrast. And I just think it's a beautiful color. I was concerned it was going to be too deep for me, but it actually matches my skin tone fairly well. But I do have one of the Charlotte Tilbury light wands in Pillow Talk, and it's very similar to this. So that one's starting to get down to its last legs, and rather than spend money to replace that, I could just use this one. So that's the plan there. Another highlighter that I'm going to keep is from Melt. This is the Digital Dust Highlighter in Stargazer. It's just a really pretty champagne color. I couldn't remember when I was doing my declutter if this is on the more subtle side or if it's like true blingy. It's closer to true blingy than it is to just being super subtle, and that's the kind of finish that I really like, so I'm definitely going to be keeping this one. And then blush, Milani Luminoso. You're going to have to bury me with this thing because it's going to last longer than I do. It's personal vendetta at this point. I just want to pan this damn thing so badly. You can see like a little tiny hole in it. That is not pan. That was me just sort of taking a pin and drilling down just to see how far the damn pan is. And yeah, there's a lot of product in here. You're definitely getting bang for your buck with this guy. First of all, it's a beautiful blush. Like if you like a more glowy kind of blush, but not glittery, this one right here. But I will say in my local Walmart, they sell this as a travel size, which I just find hysterical. But regardless, it's just this little tiny thing. if you're in the market for a peachy glowy blush and you're looking at Luminoso, go for the travel size. Honestly, it's all you're gonna need because this thing lasts forever. And now it's just personal. So it's on, Luminoso. It's on. One day, I will finish you. All right, let's talk about items that I'm going to be parting ways with. So first up is this primer here from e.l.f. This is the putty primer, the poreless putty primer. And I do not like the texture of it at all. I do not like it. I do not want to wear it. I tried with it and I just, it feels like I'm just pressing stuff into my pores and I don't like it. I don't feel like I need it. I don't have like enlarged pores or anything of that sort. So I think that this is overkill for what I'm looking for and I just don't like the way it feels. So I'm going to say goodbye to it. I have one foundation that I'm going to be getting rid of, and that is this one here from Juvia's Place. This is the I Am Magic Velvety Matte Foundation, and I have it in the shade Capri. Again, this is one of those foundations that's just too thick for my liking. I can thin it out by adding other items into it, but overall, this one's just overkill for me. It is a very high coverage foundation, and it does have a matte finish, two things that I'm not really looking for in a foundation. So this is one that's been living in my drawer for ages. It's time to say goodbye to it. And then I'm going to be parting ways with some highlighters. So first up, let's talk about MAC. This is Soft and Gentle. It's the mineralized skin finish. I know everybody has raved about Soft and Gentle. It's just one of those like products that I've been hearing about for absolutely years here on YouTube. And while it is pretty, and I think this would certainly, like, it's certainly not a bad highlighter, it's just more on the subtle side than what I typically go for, and so it's just one that I consistently overlook. And even when I was playing around with it, deciding on these Purgatory items, I just found that I would apply it, and then I would reach for another highlighter to boost it up. So it's just a product that I can already predict is going to just keep getting moved back in the drawer, and I'm just not going to use it. So I'm going to give it to somebody who hopefully will. This one here, Ritual Defy. I don't like it. I really don't. This is the Metamorphic highlighter in the Sorcerer. I've been wanting to try Ritual Defy forever and I made a bad choice. So if you're familiar with that brand and you have some favorites, please let me know what your favorite products are because I'm willing to try some other stuff, but just not this. I don't like it. It is like, I think I was saying in my original declutter that it's like a super creamy cream. It's almost slimy. Like I just don't like the feel of it. I have tried it over foundation. I've tried it under foundation. I don't like it. Over foundation, it's almost like glittery and like you just can't really get an even application because of the formula of it. Under foundation, it just doesn't really show through except little specks of glitter, and that's just not the look that I'm going for. So it's just a product that I know I'm not going to use, and so there's no point in me keeping it. I'm going to pass it on to a friend. Hopefully they can enjoy it, but I sure as hell don't, so bye-bye. The next one that I'm getting rid of like hurts my heart because the packaging. I want to keep the packaging. Don't really care about the product inside. I just want the packaging, and I have too much shit to just be keeping stuff because I think it's cute. Like that's the short and long of it. The highlight is just way too deep for me. I can't pull it off. It's way too deep. We're halfway through summer here in Canada and this is probably about as deep as I'm going to get unless I just sit in the sun with no sunscreen, but like I'm 41 and I can't do that anymore. So here we are. So my friend does have a deeper complexion than me. I think this is going to look beautiful on her. So hopefully she enjoys the highlighter and the beautiful packaging. And then finally is this one here from Becca. This is Moonstone. I mean, it's a quintessential Becca product. This is a highlighter that's been around for absolutely ever, with good reason. It's a very nice highlighter, but it just doesn't like knock my socks off. There are other highlighters in my collection that I reach for over this one, and I can tell because there's hardly any use out of this one. So while it is pretty, it's not as pretty as some of the other ones that I have, and I don't need this one. So again, I'm going to pass it on. And then we have 3 blushes. So there's this one here from Clinique. This is one of their cheek pops in Ginger Pop, and I just don't find anything particularly exciting about it. It's not a bad blush, but I have a lot of blushes in this kind of color story, and this is just one that I don't reach for, so I don't need to keep it. this one here from Cover FX. This took a lot of like hemming and hawing as to whether or not I was going to get rid of it. And obviously, ultimately, I've decided to get rid of it. And that's only because I have to go in with a very, very light hand with this one. And even at that, I only use this, like the matte side of it. I never use the glowier side. I just don't like the way it looks on my skin, to be honest. Like I don't want to use it as a highlighter, but even as a blush topper, it just has a weird color to it on my skin tone. The blush itself is beautiful. If the blush was a single, I would probably get more use out of it, but it doesn't fit in my blush holder, so I tend not to think about it because it's in another drawer, and I never like think to myself like, hey, I really want to wear that Cover FX blush. It just never occurs to me. So that's a sign to me that this is one that even if I put it back into the drawer, it's just not going to get any love because it hasn't. So I'm going to say goodbye. And then the last blush product that I'm going to get rid of is this one here from Natasha Denona. This is the Bloom Blush and Glow palette. And the shades just don't work on me. They just don't. So these ones are meant to be more of like that highlighty kind of shade, and they just are too pinkish for me. And then again, even using them as like a blush topper, it's not a look that I tend to go for. It's not the right color for me. And then these like cream to powder shades up here, I don't like the texture, to be honest. And this one like pulls a bit too deep on me, and then I have to spend a bunch of time blending it all out. This one just isn't a flattering color on me. And so I've given it its fair shake. I have been trying to make this work and it just doesn't. So there's no point in me keeping it because I know I'm just going to continue to ignore it. Okay, I have one more item that is still squarely in purgatory because I don't know if I want to get rid of it. And so that is this one here from Givenchy. This is the, what is this called? Mystic Glow Powder in Mystic Pink. I believe this was limited edition. I think it was holiday maybe 2 years ago. Barrie bought it for me for Christmas because I dropped atomic bomb sized hints. And I've never been like wildly in love with it as I have been playing with it the last couple of weeks. I'm starting to appreciate it more. So I'm going to keep it, but it's like, this is like final warning time. Like if this comes up in the next declutter and I'm still like, oh yeah, I meant to use you more and I didn't, I'm going to get rid of it then. So it's on probation. We'll put it that way. It's on probation. I'm going to put it towards the front of the drawer so that I see it, make a concerted effort to use it. And if I haven't been by the time I do my next declutter, then it's going at that point. But at any rate, that is it for today. That is the update on my makeup purgatory. So I do have how many items here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 more items that are going to be going out of my collection. All right, with all of that said, I'm going to wrap the video up here. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next one. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.